Friday the 13th. Anna Achimowicz right back with you on Rock Dance Theater Live TV. And today, before I introduce my very special guest, don't forget to slap all of those subscribe buttons, likes, the comments, the shares further on. And I'm going to take a sip of water while you do that. You always have this special minute. Okay, I think we're done. So now, Patti Negri, a very special magical guest, and to me, actually a rock star of the spiritual realm, will be my special guest of the evening, of the morning, depending if you're checking in on California time, on Arizona time, New York, or over here in Central Europe, which is where I am tuning in with you guys as pretty much the whole pandemic. If you recognize my guitars on the orange wall, yes, we are 2021, and we are back with very exciting episodes before we rock the stage tomorrow. But first things first, I would love to invite my very special guest in discussion and in the chat about magic, about rock and roll, and all of those good things, Patti Negri herself.
Hi, thank you so much, Anna.
Hi.
Greetings from Hollywood, way on the other side of the pond.
Hello there. Yes. Well, actually, Patti, welcome to Europe, which is where I'm tuning in. But we used to be neighbors. If you lived in California your whole life, I was raised in San Diego. So now I'm kind of on the other side of the pond, but that's only due to lockdown. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining today. It's an honor and a pleasure, both. You kind of came up on my radar of very interesting people that I would love to talk to, love to meet, love to dig into what they do daily, because I consider it special. I consider it just rock stardom, but on a whole nother level. Last guest that joined me over here was Rudy Sarzo, a rock and roller that we know from a couple of little bands. If you listen to music like that, you probably know. And here we are today with you. Happy Friday the 13th, because when we prepped this episode, you told me it's actually your favorite day. How awesome.
It is. It is, because it's a charge today. We charge, so many people, is it bad luck or good luck? Here's a little secret. Almost anything that people say, oh, that's bad luck, just means it's powerful, like breaking a mirror, Friday the 13th, walking under a ladder, black, cat crossing your path. All those things, they could be good or bad. What you do with them, they're powerful. So happy awesome. Friday the 13th. Because in different countries, it's different things. In some countries like Spain and Greece, it's Tuesday the 13th. Nobody here gets scared on Tuesday the 13th. It's just right. What we've created it to be.
It's funny. I mean, I find it bogus because you, Patti, as an occupation, as a working professional, I can say you are a literal good witch. You're a psychic, you're a medium, you're a spiritual professional worker, among many things. And you also happen to work in the entertainment industry, because I know that you are an owner of Brain Brew Entertainment Productions. Yes. Which is super cool. I find that clash from both words very interesting. I would love to jump back and forth between the two, but straight off the bat, I recently saw some sessions that you've been doing literally on house cleansing, on ghost investigation, and on haunting. And as we know, whole rock and roll world, whole metal world, and also arts always have kind of derived and been inspired around the topic of ghosts, of the unknown, about Satan and demons and all of those forces that we don't know, but we kind of jump into to see what it is, and then no one really knows because we cannot see it directly. There's no like scientific evidence. So tell me, Patti, why are you doing what you're doing as your life mission? Have you been born with the gifts and the kind of direction, or has it literally been like a straight up ladder leading to today?
Yes and yes. No, I'm born with it. When I was, as long as I could talk, I was talking to the other side, to spirits on the other side. I thought everybody could. I do think little kids can. It just gets taught out of us in our modern, non-mystical world. Right. I always had an obsession with the dead, but never in a dark or morbid way. I just wanted to talk to them. I literally did my first seance when I was 7 or 8 years old. What you were saying about artists, musicians, actors, we are right brain people. You could see spirits too. They're the left brain person, which we have to dance between both brains. Our left brain is that logical, organized, oh, this is where you go to work. This is where you pay your bills. This is what that logical brain. you're an
Call the
accountant.
tax office kind of stuff.
Yeah, call the tax office. But the right brain, which is your spiritual, artist, creative, musician brain, that's where magic exists. So that's why I think that, especially musicians, you are in that world, whether you see spirits or not, or see ghosts, you're in that magical right brain world where anything can happen, where you allow that creativity. Logic does not always have something to do, it doesn't have to have something to do with it. That's where magic lives. And people are feeling it more and more because, again, crazy world. We've been in this pandemic world, like you even mentioned. Everybody was literally sent to your room and figure out what's important. Literally, it's like, you can't leave. And it's right as we're stepping into the age of Aquarius. I'm not an astrologer, but what they sang about in the 60s, the veil between the worlds is thinning. It's not our parents, grandparents' world of black and white and right and wrong and solid ground and yes and no. And
we are past that. We are way further.
We are way past that. We're moving dimensions. So a lot of people's, like, even just science in itself isn't keeping up. Their religion necessarily, old traditional religions aren't keeping up. So there's this new unexplainable things are happening. People, their gifts are opening up. And people are looking for answers, and they're there. And honestly, science and spirituality are coming together fast as a freight train with quantum physics and quantum sciences. So it's an exciting time we live in, Anna.
Well, everything is exciting recently. I mean, you mentioned a couple of things that I would love to come back if I don't forget, because I digress and I get excited and it all derails. But one thing that you have said, especially during the pandemic, that I can say about myself personally, as a public person, as a stage performer, as a host on Let's Rock Live with Anna, hosting you today, by the way, guys. If you have missed the intro, Patti Negri, the Good Witch of Hollywood, psychic and an actual medium, is joining us today. So scroll back, recap that if you missed it. But especially during an isolation moment, for me, I observed, okay, not only figuring out what life is about, what to do not to kill yourself, your job is gone, you cannot see your friends, lockdown, all of that. But due to that deprivation I found that very different kind of perception, tools, and ways of feeling, understanding, and tuning in, whatever that means, have been developed, especially for me. I'm an artist that always created from my dreamscape. A multitude, ever since I was 11, I dreamt it. I had to go to the studio to kind of build up whatever then happened. But funny enough, with this deprivation, I mean, vivid dreams and telepathic kind of situations have been off the scale for me personally. And I don't know if people tell you that more and more, especially now.
It is, again, especially, and artists, the creatives are going to go there first, and especially dream time. You want to even make those dreams bigger. In my book, I created something I called Dream School. It's just a glass of water by the side of your bed. It's a conduit. You know, we are almost 60% water. It's a battery charge. When you go to sleep, you put that water. It's telling the universe that you want information or downloads. It's like, I want to talk to my dead grandma, or what is the meaning of life, or what song should I open with tomorrow? Whatever, what outfit should I wear? And it's amazing. It's
funny.
Getting your head out of the way.
Sorry to interrupt, but I noticed when you came on my radar a couple of weeks ago, and I saw you like online on YouTube doing a spiritual seance, and you spoke about that as like some tips to do your own personal little magic and connections and get a little bit more not only maybe in tune, but to help to boost it up like an amplifier. And you were talking about that thing, and I realized, my God, I always have a glass by my bed. Number one, I'm thirsty. Number two, it's just what I do. And I always had that either way, kind of on that dreamscape level. But you said something about not drinking the water that is there to just be like this transmitter, and to have your drinking water somewhere else further away from the bed.
And seal, just put a plate over a glass or in a bottle and seal it for the drinking water. Just put it a little bit farther so all the whatever goes right there.
Professionally, what happens when you do drink it? Is that something that you do indigest, let's say, on a spiritual level, that stuff that should not go in your body and be a part of your molecular body? Or
it's kind of like toxins from the other worlds. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. You do notice it tastes bad though, don't you? Like
it tastes funky, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? It's alien almost. It's amazing.
It could be aliens, it could be just emotions, it could be spirits, it could be leftover smudge floating by. Water again is a conduit, it's going to pull it in. So keep your drinking water sealed, and then your dream water, so you can journey while you're asleep. And again, it's basically for getting that left logical brain out of the way so that you can be in the other worlds.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you're watching, tip number one, of course, we will direct all of you to Patti's books, to Patti's sessions and classes and workshops, which I know you also teach a multitude of. But before we get to that, tell me, in your life journey and your path and your mission, have you ever came across kind of people that you immediately sense in the room that, let's say, are more prone to these kinds of gifts and already being this kind of openness to see spirits, to hear, to be able to communicate on a kind of, yeah, okay, cool, they're at home. Yeah, there's something there. It's nice, it's pleasant, I don't feel threatened by it. And others are completely, stiff, locked down, and not even interested really to go there. Because it's the unknown.
Yeah.
Let's face it, we don't see it. There's no like hardcore proof. That's why there's a lot of misconception at the same time. So I'm always fascinated with interpretation of those things.
Yeah, I see energy. It's beautiful. God, nature, whatever, give it energy. So I can see, like, you are super gifted, whether you think you're psychic or not. You are super intuitive, right?
Intuition,
all your senses are heightened. Smell, taste, awareness. You're super empathic. Don't you take on people's other stuff? You're an artist.
I'm also a psychotherapist and a physiotherapist, excuse me.
So there you go.
Where did that come from? Correction, guys. Physiotherapist. Interesting.
Yeah, so no, you can see the light of someone coming in, and we have our choice. I do believe we're all born with the gift, and I do believe we can develop it to varying degrees. Everybody can take piano lessons. Not everybody can be a concert pianist, but everybody can learn skills. So I think anybody who wants to can develop that sense of intuition, whether it's speaking to the other side or just having this knowing. And if you want to shut it down, you shut it down. Again, then you just pull in that logical brain and just close the door. Right. And we should have control over it. In my world, it's just, I like a very open close, just like here's a door. I don't want to go to the grocery store and see somebody's dead mother in the aisle. It's like, no, I just want to shop for groceries. So I have an off switch, and then I go and I'm just regular as anybody. Then on makes your on that much stronger, where you're talking to spirits and the divine and all that is good and light. And on the other side, I still believe that we cannot be hurt. This three-dimensional earth world is our realm of existence. The other side really does have to play by our rules. People just don't know it, so they give away their power. And we humans give away our power all the time. We give away our power to other people. We give away our power to limiting belief systems. We give away our power to fear. We give, and so if some ghosty thing comes in and it feels negative, don't get all fearful. Don't get all angry. Just go, nope, not here. You're not welcome here. Be like a parent or a teacher, in the name of whatever you believe in the name of God, in the name of your cat, in the name of whatever. And guess what? They have to go. But people all freak out. When you see somebody like all freaked out, unless it's me doing it on purpose, when I've allowed a spirit to take over me, it's like, no, we don't. But people don't know that. So I'm about, whether it's in my book, it's like, pull your power back. Or what I do, even on TV, whether it's Ghost Adventures or I'm working, Basketball Wives Club I just shot, or Awesomeness TV, all these shows I work, it's like, maybe are silly shows, but it gives them, some of them are great. It gives them an idea of wow, we have more power, whether we're talking to ghosts or clearing our house.
I think it's all amazing, number one. And number two, I think it's a question of kind of awareness and tools. It's just a next language that you might be able to speak, like, so to speak. Because the fact of the matter that is super interesting, all of whatever realms that do exist, depending on the faith belief system, they have been there from time and time again. They try to be reinvented, named a certain way, and I'm a very open person in that sense. I do not care if you believe, as you said, in your cat or God or aliens, whatever higher power. I personally know, me as Anna, that it exists, most definitely, because for some reason it just completely makes sense to me. I mean, why would you be ignorant and kind of limited enough to only understand, okay, 3D phone made of aluminium and plastic and whatever. Kind of boring and not enough, but maybe you got to be like an adventurer yourself and kind of want to search more. And one thing that also like struck me about you, I remember the first session that I think I saw was 3 people, and again, we haven't met before, so this is super awesome. I'm really stoked, Patti, to actually chat to you today. You're not somebody that walks around next to my 7-Eleven like over here, you know. It's a next level, you know. Maybe we would meet in a venue or at an event somewhere in California or around the world, which I know that you do travel. But one seance I remember that you were doing was at a radio station, I think. 3 podcasters, young people, and you sensed a person there, a teenager that passed away recently, air playing, air guitaring, and just like hanging out because he liked the people, he liked the music. And that was like such a wholesome moment. I mean, I felt like, oh my God, this is just insane. And all of a sudden, as you were opening everything up and leading the sounds for those guys, it clicked, like all of the dots connected and they realized why. Aha, okay, everything that they felt. Can you tell me a little bit, and for our viewers, for people that are not professionally into this daily, what are the signs that kind of may give you a hint that somebody is around, that spirits are around in your house, in your studio, kind of letting know, hi there, I want to talk, or I just want to hang out, and not necessarily do damage, because we do know, as you say, and as you experience, those entities are there too.
Yeah, there's good and there's bad. There's light and there's dark. There's yin and there's yang. There's positive and negative. And I never ever recommend hanging negative or dark, because it's not as romantic as you can make it seem, like the scary monster. No, it makes you sick. It makes you cranky. It makes you angry.
People tried, especially in rock and roll. Oh, they tried.
So it could be lots of ways. And then if you want to talk to them, you start developing your language. It's a feeling, an emotion of that kind of comes over you, or like the one, oh, there's somebody standing behind me, or you feel something come in. Sometimes it gets change of temperature, colder or hotter. You're usually going to see spirits in your peripheral vision, not your direct vision. Like a shadow or a light going by. Dark doesn't mean bad, and light, shadow or light. Goosebumps, it's little chills, are always a confirmation. If you really want to go into this world, everybody has, I call them tells, like in poker. It's like somebody will get, I always get flushed when something happens, or I get cold, or my fingers tingle. Or everybody has their own, but start developing it. But also changes of emotion again. And if it's negative, it's negative emotions.
Your nose
and
itches
anger.
all of a sudden.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Or your nose itches. And if it's positive, if it's negative, get it out. And if it's positive, don't be afraid to talk to it. It's like, it's so funny. It's like, I felt something come in. It felt good. Well, did you talk to it? No. So I just picture a human standing there, like jaw dropped, and a ghost standing there, jaw dropped. Nobody talking to each other.
And
saying,
both
hi.
are disappointed then.
Exactly. It's like, well, they didn't say anything. You know,
so
it's
cool.
like silly. So just say hi. Who are you? Who are you? What are you? Are you human? Are you an elemental? Are you an angel? Are you a deity? Are you a gender? Are you male, female? Are you gender? Are you, a tree spirit? Why are you here? Are you passing through? Are you detached to me? Are you a spirit guy? And then listen for answers. Your answers occasionally come with an outside voice. Hi. Sometimes it's an inside voice. That's where all the clairs come here. Clairaudient, clairvoyance. Sometimes it's just a knowing. Sometimes you see inside, sometimes outside. Sometimes it's just a feeling. Sometimes you smell it. Sometimes you hear it. It's all equal. Whether they're speaking through emotion or visual, all equally valid, whether outside or inside. And then you have real conversations. Again, the best thing is knowing that this is our world. So even if it's something positive that comes in, great grandma comes in. Okay, great grandma, I love talking to you, but don't come in at 3 in the morning. I need to sleep. And, let's talk over coffee.
Which, as we know, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. is like the ghost hour, the demon hour. That is the most
the witching hour, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it, exactly, yeah.
It's because when the veil between the worlds is the thinnest, and they can communicate more, good, bad, and indifferent. It's a good dream time. It's a good learning time. It's just, again, this veil is like a sheet between us and them, or a sheer sheet. And I, since I was a little kid, learned to lift it. So that's what, hey, there's ghosts tickling my nose.
I can see that. My God. Are they coming over from here, like just to say hi? Or?
They could. That's what's wild. When I do seances now on Zoom, where they used to be, you know, around the dining room table or a big hall full of people, now they're on Zoom or whatever like this. You can. Somebody can be a little orb over here, and it's going to go over you. It's going to tickle your nose. It's going to tickle my nose. It's like
amazing.
Time and space doesn't.
I actually wanted to ask about that because, of course, we're locked down. And I was thinking, can you actually do those and perform those like remotely, digitally?
And it's just as good, if not sometimes even better. You name names, get the Uncle Bob so and so, because again, they are energy. We are energy. We are spirit.
And it's signal at the same time, right?
Yeah, and again, computers, phones, everything we're talking to is that electronics they can use. They use off our body and old school. You know, a cell phone's a modern day Ouija board. They are learning, or ghost meters, all those things.
I haven't checked, but I bet there is a Ouija board app or what.
I am sure there is. There are so many apps now, and they're good. You don't even have to buy that fancy equipment, because even when it's not a real app, spirits are learning to use it. Just like we learn to ride a bike, we learn to play guitar, they're learning our world. So again, if something's good, don't be afraid to talk to it. If it's bad, command it to leave without anger and without fear. It wants you to get mad. It wants you to get fearful. Just don't. Be like a teacher or a parent. Nope, you're out of here. My house, my body, my dog, and
that's impressive.
And it works.
Basically, if it's that simple, why people are still scared? I mean, of course, as humans, we are programmed to be kind of freaked out by death because no one wants to, you know, disappear, lose their loved ones, cats, dogs, parents, whatnot. And it's kind of natural. It's supposed to be like that. We see blood, we cringe. If not, it probably means something is a little bit off about who we are, and professionals need to check that out. But it is crazy how many misconceptions are there around. And what I find fascinating, that is actually more and more people are actually, as you said earlier, starting to explore, starting to search for evidence, both scientific and just kind of empiric. And I know that you work very elementally in the sense of forces and nature, and also backgrounds of very pagan and primal kind of rituals and stuff.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit like the toolbox that you use? Do you have like dowsing rods, both, and an iPhone that has like a radar?
I have a talking crystal ball. Yeah, I am much more old school in my stuff. I do work elementally, mostly, I mean, because I was born this way. I was knowing what to do with plants and rocks and animals. And we are on this earth. We are otherworldly beings. We are divine beings, but we're also human. So I could talk to spirit, or I could work magic with somebody. I don't have to get into specific deities. I don't want to offend anybody who works with Jesus versus offending somebody who works with Buddha versus somebody. But everybody can understand the strength of a tree with roots deep into the earth and branches that can reach the life-giving force of a tree. We get water, the flow of water, emotion. Almost 60% of our body is water. We get it. Air, thought process, focus, clarity, fire. That's the passion within it. We understand the power of these because we are earth beings. So if I put my knowledge and understanding into, almost like it's a template, it's a language. I'm not going to offend a Christian or a Buddhist or an atheist or anybody, because we are on this planet. I mean, anybody can get offended if they want to, but
especially nowadays. My outfit might be offensive, or your lipstick, because it's just wild.
Exactly.
But we do not care. It's Let's Rock Live with Anna. We can do whatever we like over here, which is awesome.
Right. and right now, as we're getting close to Halloween, which is Samhain in the pagan faith, when the veil is the thinnest between the worlds of all the year. It's the thinnest on right around October 31st. That's where we got Halloween from, the dress up and the jack-o'-lanterns. It's to scare away the bad spirits, but it's really about celebrating ancestors and the good spirits. Going into the pagan, it's that celebration of ancestors, of life, the crossing over, Dia de los Muertos in the Spanish and Latin community.
I just wanted to say, like Latin America basically celebrates and embraces it in a very happy way. I mean, I find, of course, you got to be respectful, because you kind of think about the dead they're gone, you miss them. It's not necessarily the happiest thing, but when you realize that death is equally a part of life, and it is like a yin and yang, again, depending what you believe, I think that that's the coolest thing, because I think it lifts them up. They are not sad over there if we play music and dance. And that's actually one of my very first memories when I was a kid. I mean, we go to the bank with my parents over in San Diego, and everything is dressed up, like skeletons are hanging off the walls, and your assistant is basically, bloody here and a mask and stabbed by the ribs. And it's awesome. It's just, it has this high level of energy, and I don't want to say entertainment, but a whole different attitude towards it. Not in a sad way, in a depressive way, and a put me down way, but
we don't
opposite.
have to. We don't have to. Yeah, we understand the scary Halloween and what Hollywood, I'm in the middle of Hollywood, but what we've done to both witchcraft, to monsters, to death. But dead people are fine. Death is hard. Death is hard on those left living. Dead people are like, we're partying, we're having a good old time, and it's hard on us because we're not used to. We're afraid of the unknown. We don't. There's a billion books written about people who died and came back, and they tell you it's good, but until you unless you've experienced it, we're all afraid of the unknown.
Well, I think that's the thing. Unless you experience it yourself, you're like, nah. It has to be fake. It has to be just theory or make-believe or something. But the moment actually you have personally lived through that, doesn't matter in which way, that I think it's a moment that opens your eyes and changes your perspective. I'm not even talking about faith or belief systems, because that's something else. But just as an experience, it's like you never rode a bike or you never had a bass playing class. Like, how can you know what it is, like even in the slightest bits? So and it's interesting, don't you think, about humans, that they need to do it or hear it or see it first before they go kind of. It's just insane. I find it fascinating. That's why conversations like this with an expert, which I think I can easily call you one, doing that from 7 years old, right?
7 decades and decades and decades and decades. I'm 700. No, and I've studied it my entire life. I was a seeker from the time I was a kid. From the time I was 13, I hadn't, because I was raised by without any kind of religion or belief system, so I wasn't colored by it. And my grandfather was a practical evangelical atheist, didn't believe in anything, but he was a philosopher from Turkey, and he knew more about religion than any religion. And we came in opposite doors, but I continued his studies. And to me, if you take it to energy that I see, there's so much truth in all of them. The names have been changed to protect the innocent or the guilty or whatever. You look at even holidays coincide with nature, with spirit. You might call it Yule if you're a pagan, and Christmas if you're a Christian. You might call it Ostara if you're a pagan. And everybody has the somebody hanging on a tree story, whether it's Odin or Christ. It's, look at the magic below it, not the name. And that's where we all come together. And and maybe post-pandemic, and maybe as this veil lifts, and it's not all we just believe it because somebody tells us to. It's like we find our own truths. Maybe we're on that upward climb.
Interesting. Maybe we are. Yeah. No one really knows. Maybe. It's about the time passing and the generations kind of figuring out, and maybe having these kinds of discussions, these kinds of meetings, and realizing that there is something more than just the chase for fame and money and all of that. And it's all fine. I mean, whatever rocks your boat, as I say, I could not care less, as long as you don't do damage and harm to anybody. I'm fine. I'm good.
Yep, that's my creed. Do what you want, so long as you harm none. Don't do anything to anybody outside of the thing. Like, again, who's to say? We can get from my house in Hollywood to your house in Europe. Who's to say there's one way to do it? You could swim, you could fly, you could walk on water, you could take a boat, you could astral project. Who's to say, no, this is the only way you can do it? Who are we to say that?
You could go to sleep and literally dream visiting in my kitchen.
Exactly.
Which, to be honest, this is the first time that I speak of this like publicly in a podcast, because it's usually a wide spectrum of topics, but not directly spiritual work as I do today with you. But I literally, over the last year and a half, I've been dreaming about traveling to my boyfriend's place and seeing what he has on his desk, like stuff like that. And then I was texting him what was there, and he was like, "That's insane. You're very intuitive." I was like, "Yeah, well, the border is closed, but I visited." So
Yeah,
we were both
no, it is
laughing,
true.
and yeah,
I was working with a girl. She was in Singapore, and her fiance was in a coma in Australia, different countries. And we
different
would
mind
work
state
together
and
where she
brain
would
state.
contact him. And we literally would do things. There'd be nurses there where he was. And I literally have her like tickle his toes mentally. I mean, they're on different, tickle his toes, play with his toes. And the nurses in Australia would say he's wiggling his toes right now.
It's
It's
amazing.
time and space doesn't exist on the other side. We
I love
can
that.
connect. What we think, what we feel matters. So make it positive.
And put the intention in, because if it's
And put
strong as an
intention in
intention, then
everything.
it works. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it
I love
does.
that. And it's
I see
such a
somebody's
romantic story. Oh my God, can you imagine? I mean, just on a human being level, right? And on a feeling level,
yes.
just oh wow. My palms
And
just got
there's
sweaty, and it's not stage fright because I've been doing this since age 6. So
I know that's
interesting.
me too. So I've been doing this so long.
That's
But
another
no,
note that I'm taking.
and this helped bring him out of a coma, and they're married now. This was a fairy tale story from he's supposed to be dead, he's in a coma, he'll never come back, separate countries, she couldn't get to him, and now they're happily married.
Oh my God.
Fairy tales can come true.
That's just awesome.
Yeah.
Beyond awesome. I mean, more stories and experiences like that I would wish for anybody in any situation. That is fantastic. I need to drink a sip of water now. Commercial break.
Okay, water.
Anyway, speaking of Patti, do you have like background in arts, meaning dancing, gymnastics, all of that stuff? Okay, why I sense that immediately, because I'm a professional choreographer and a dancer. Started in a musical, dropped it super fast, went into contemporary and all kinds of avant-garde weird stuff. Buto, even, if you're familiar. This post-apocalyptic Japanese death-related thing. I was a weird kid. But that aside, that's what I sense, that when you work either spiritual seance or house cleansing, or even you allowing a spirit to channel through you, which also I've seen you do, you are very physical. Like the moment you walk into a room, you start to move in a very particular way. It's as if, okay, radar, stuff is happening.
It is like radar. Again, that's my
attention. Yeah.
So some people look at me, it's like, what is that insane woman? But no, I am. I was so shy when I was a kid. My mom was a performer. She was a singer and dancer, but what you did in the day, you gave it up for family. Because now you don't have to do that, but you used to, I guess, have to do that, or so she thought. But I was so shy when I was a kid. I talked to spirits, but not people so much. She got me into dance class, music class, everything to get me unshy. So by second grade, they like shut her up, but I started coming out of it. But I was a dancer. I was an actor.
Which style?
Because tap's my specialty.
Okay.
And
a lot of noise.
Again, I'm Hollywood. My crowning moment, and this was years and years ago, I got to dance with Gregory Hines, one of the gods of tap dancing. He wasn't even tap dancing in the movie. Years ago. It's called Deal of the Century. I was hired to be a dancer in the movie, and he wasn't dancing. He had an acting part, but he's like, why would we have another choreographer? I want to choreograph. So I'm just like fangirling out, like, oh my God, it's my idol. It's Gregory Hines. I get to dance. So cool. It was so great. But yeah, I danced 2 shows a night at the Variety Arts Center, big old school 1920s, 1930s, 1940s style tap. And then again, I think being in the arts, whether musician, whatever, allows you to let your creative, your artist, your right brain side take over. And that will open up your spiritual gifts. Not saying, accountants and mathematicians can't do it, but they have to learn to shush that logical brain.
Yeah. Well, that I agree completely with basically Western education. I mean, for me, it's like you pass an exam. And lately, I was literally moving some documents, some certificates from universities and stuff from my parents' place over to here. And I looked at it, and it came back to me like as a flashback. Yeah, this exam, I remember what the author meant or what the book said, not necessarily having this practical application in real life. And I thought to myself, okay, how silly was that? Thank God, or whatever. higher power that made me be in the path that I am, which I would not exchange. Hence the setbacks or missteps, whatnot. It's a part of life. It's just how we roll.
Part of life.
We fall
That's
down.
how we learn.
We fall down in contemporary dance. We jump right back up and knock the hell out of somebody. So
yep, yeah, I do. And it's true. That changes everything. Like here in the States, you know, budget cuts. They started taking art out of, they took art
Always
out
did.
of school. They took music out of schools.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everything goes down. Their test scores. Literally right here in the middle of Hollywood, entertainment capital, where dancers come, actors come, musicians come. Our little local elementary school, nobody would send their kids. There's no art. There's not even physical activity. So it was like the lowest 10% of schools. I mean, they were bad in math. They were bad in English. They were bad in all the school things. I'm on the board of the Hollywood Arts Council. We brought in art programs. We had somebody bring in gardening programs. We brought in dance and improvisation and photography and fine art. Their math skills went up, their English, their education, their history, of course. And now they're a top percentile. They went from the lowest 10% to a school of excellence because we brought in art.
Now the directors and chefs of counties are all of a sudden thinking, there might be something to that.
I know. I hope. I don't think it's rolled over to the thinking yet, but people do know how important it is.
Takes a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. I mean, even more so. I mean, you do fantastic work just to help people's lives with the spiritual realm and doing all of that. But at the same time, you help in arts. My God, I like you even more. This is so amazing that you're always
life is fun. People are amazing. We are the weird, amazing species. We are as flaweder than any other species. We have so many, but we're powerful. We are divine beings from God's heavens, angels, whatever. We are divine beings, but we're human and we have free will. Well, that free will makes us. You want to be a rock star? You get to be a rock star. You know, what you put into it, what you get out. It's cause and effect. It's action and reaction. You know, so all you need is that faith in yourself. It's amazing. And people, again, like we started this full circle. People give away their power, grab it back. So I love people.
Right?
I love
why they did that. It's ridiculous. It's like handing money or giving out your clothes or your books or your talents, whatever. It's just weird. It's a waste of potential, I find, number one, to give that away. But it only kind of shows and proves, like, all of a sudden, wow, like you're not aware. You lose the awareness. It's like losing ability to count or to dance or to play a chord. And I also look at it as an educator, and I wonder, why is that? And why is there too much of this digital bombarding us with information and social media and all of that of course now in the last times have become, I'm an old schooler. I'm 35 years old almost, and I still remember paper, pen, pencils, stuff like that, playing with sticks and stones and having my knees busted. And it was the perfect time. I mean, if not that, I can't imagine how the next generations are going to be, if not, bringing the awareness back and having people infused classes, having them find a passion, maybe even finding tools for the work that you do. All of a sudden, then someone wants to do spiritual hunting and seances and house cleansing all of a sudden because they get inspired. Why not?
They get it again, and find passion. Passion's going to drive your life into finding things like those TFIL guys that I work with. That's YouTubers. My new YouTubers are like the next generation Zach Bagans. They started out Daredevil guys, punk stuff and Daredevil guys, and then they discovered the paranormal and they crank it up. Well, you're a musician, we go through life, with the volume at 7.2 so you don't wake up the neighbors. They're like, screw this, crank it up to 11.
No. I was recently jamming with a friend in Arizona and literally midnight, and I said, screw it. No, I was inspired, crank it up. They're doing construction work either way. I'm sorry. I believe in mutual respect and pissing people off. That's what
So we are amazing. It's just we have to look outside our comfort level, and that's what the TFIL guys do. They started the paranormal and they commit. They're like their whole goal is to get kids off the couch, get kids off your phone,
That's
Yes,
awesome.
you're
That's
going to use
great
that
work.
phone. We need a hybrid of everything. Like right
Sure.
now, we're able to be in different parts of the world, and I could teach classes. All a few days ago, I taught a class. I had somebody in Germany, somebody in Belgium, somebody in Canada, someone in the U.S., somebody in Italy, and we're like this. I'm like, this is the magic of this technology.
It
But
is.
this
It is
can't
when you
be
think
just
about
it.
it.
That can't be it. You've got to get outside, hang from a tree, and talk. You have to have it all. It's the yin and yang. It's
Absolutely.
so.
Speaking of
Yeah.
hanging from trees, and it's all fascinating, and now I try to catch things that I want to ask you about. But in your experiences, especially with the TFIL guys, I remember you were at Hotel Cecil, right, which is known as one of the most haunted places on Earth, or in
Yep.
the continental United States for sure,
or anywhere.
or anywhere. That experience was amazing. I mean, with not only the technology, like receptors going off, and you, for those that didn't see those, maybe we're going to drop that as a comment later on to check that out, to navigate what you do. But that was pretty extreme. Was that one of the most extreme experiences, or were there really places that went dark and you said, okay, this is a little bit too complicated for me, I would rather not touch this, and hand it over to someone higher, let's say? And
I like a challenge. And again, I do study protection methods in every belief system, whatever. So put me in something too scary, because I will be prepared. That place is insane. So like with the TFIL boys, that was the first time I spoke backwards. That was weird. I thought, when I allow somebody to take over and I know what I'm doing, don't try this at home, kids. And it was like a druggy tweaker. What the part of Patti that was left, I thought I was talking.
Bobby,
but
was it?
Yeah, Bobby. I guess it came out. They just thought I was like mumbling, blah 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 blah. And then Corey goes, play it backwards, and played backwards. I was like, something. I'm sorry, I got to get out of here. That was a trip.
Yeah.
That place, the second you show up, it starts coming in on you. There's an egregore been created, a spirit, by all the things that have happened there, also coming up from the ground. Also, it affects the living people that go there, and it affects there's dead people stuck there. That was the second thing I did there. I also did the Ghost Adventures, the 2-hour special with Zach and the guy. And that one, I didn't know where I was going. Zach never tells you. He's like, show up, here's an address. And I get there, I go, oh, Cecil Hotel. Yeah, that's the place with the girl in the water tower. Okay. But I walk in, and all of a sudden, I didn't do any research. I will never do research anyway. But all of a sudden, the building's coming in on me, and Zach goes, okay, Patti, there's 14 floors, there's 700 rooms. You tell us where to go. And I'm like, yeah, that's where you have to trust your faith. Push the button, and I'm in that elevator, the Alyssa Lamler. And I took him right to a room, and I start channeling right away because I know what I'm doing. And this, again, the part of me that was still Patti, and I walk into this room, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. And I go into this kind of little, and I'm opening the window, and Zach's screaming. He's like, close that window. Why are you opening that window? Patti, close that window. I'm like, why is he yelling? And I'm like, why is he yelling at me? He's never yelled at me. This weird trance voice. And he made me sit down. I had no idea, but I had led them right to a room where somebody jumped out that window, and I was like reliving, and like whatever that was. And I'm like, huh. So then I led him to a room. That Cecil Hotel is wild. I led him to another room, and then I felt myself totally being attacked. I'm like, I'm holding myself. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't, like, horribly attacked. And then again, Zach's going, and the part of me still Patti, and the little part still Patti. And I'm like, he's like, I go there. He goes, where are you being attacked? And the part of me still conscious Patti going, how do you say that body part on television? And I'm like, lady parts, or female parts. Unbeknownst to me, I led them to a room where a woman had been raped and murdered in that space.
There you go.
That space, you walk into every room. There's, I don't know how many, 700 rooms at the Cecil.
A lot.
Every room. It's like walking into a decorated room. Here's the Mary Poppins room. Here's the Peter Pan room. Here's the elegant room. Here's the goth room.
Alice in Wonderland on LSD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I never took, by the way, because I don't need drugs. I have my natural creative high.
Exactly.
But my God, wow.
Yeah, so that place is wild.
That's crazy.
But I've been a couple dark places. I mean, the Black Dahlia house is really dark, where the Black Dahlia murder was. I've been, and spirits can be, they're not all demons. I think demons get way too much credit because demons are usually it's just a cranky ass guy.
They look awesome on covers of albums. Like, you know, they get the great artwork. And again, it's something, if it's only artistic, okay, fine. But if you really dabble in the bad spirits and you cast hoaxes and you write lyrics that really have that intention of harming someone, which I'm not going to name drop, but there is a multitude of people, maybe not a huge group, but they do exist in the industry of entertainment arts. And then you go, well, this is kind of crossing the limit, because you either do harm or affect in an aware way, or completely not knowing what you're doing. And then trouble kicks in. And then three dots, right. you know, part two, it could be of our discussion, basically. But
yeah, you don't, again, it's not as romantic and fun and rock and roll as you think it is. It's paranoia and guilt and illness. I will actually, and I could say this because it's public, the place where I was, there's a house in my neighborhood, a 1920s house built by Charlie Chaplin for his girlfriend. It was a party house of 20s and 30s. The Rolling Stones managers bought it in the 60s. So the Stones lived there, Mamas and Papas, Graham Parsons. Then they moved out, and then the person who rented the Real Life Sex Doll moved in. Then they moved out. Then Marilyn Manson moved in, was my neighbor for 7 years. He recorded there in the basement. Marilyn Manson, who says, I work the dark. We were doing a seance around the table. One kid got disrespectful. You guys just be respectful. Just humans want to be respected. Ghosts want to be respected. He was saying stuff that this ghost, not a demon, was getting mad. And it's big in life, big in death. Theatrical in life, theatrical in death. The ghost was throwing open the French doors, turning on the speakers like white noise on the floor. All this stuff was happening and happening. And then he said something so stupid. My cameraman burst into flames. We caught it on film. The back of him, no fireplace behind him, just angel wings of fire. It's like, he was a skeptic. He became a believer. It turned out to be
I can imagine. Yeah, after that, but you gain respect, I would imagine.
You gain respect. The kid became a choir boy in the corner. And I called in my protectors. I work with dragon energy. It's crossroads energy. And where the guy was burned, it looked like he has a dragon on his back. The scarring turned into open mouth, sharp teeth. I'm like, oh my God, you have a tramp step of a dragon. He was so inspired. He wrote a movie. I don't know if they're going to do it.
That's insane. Yeah, it's insane, but at the same time, it's so real. It's so like tangible,
so
and it just gets me excited, and I'm really awake.
Because spirits and energy don't know the difference if it's a rock and roll song and you're making it up, or if it's a movie. That's why so many if this film gets done, it's called The Portal. It's about a Hollywood medium psychic who does all the shows. It's about me, and then she does just another reality show, and then a portal opens, and then it becomes a horror film of doing a seance. And I sat with the writer for like 5 hours. I go, Lauren, you can't say that on camera. He goes, but you said it. I go, I know I said it. That opens a portal. You don't want to be one of those cursed horror films. Spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it, doesn't know the difference of this is coming from a script or a song. These sounds cause this. Let's put, powerless words, and let's say boobly doobly instead of bobbly doubly, and it won't be a curse. It'll be a horror film. It's a horror film, and everybody gets to get scared, but not attach any real negative energies to it.
So again, awareness, big awareness, and well, it does not discriminate, as you say. Fiction only exists in our world, in our like material world. Interesting. Well, that's kind of the beauty about it. Again, not really knowing so much as you do, learning about it your whole life, as you say, and practicing it day in, day out, that many creators kind of every now and then, or even regular people, not even talking about people in the arts, but just regular people that kind of all of a sudden they step on something, on the so-called nail, and the wound starts to bleed and gets infected and all of that, and all of a sudden you need an amputation of a body part because you missed something. And of course, now I stretched it into the medical world, but that's kind of what happens. Like you just out of not even direct will of ill doing or anything, but just kind of, whatever. And it turns out it's not whatever. It's very much intertwined and connected. And as you say, all of a sudden we're in trouble. So
yeah. So again, and everything's fixable. I don't believe there's anything that's not fixable. And intent is everything. Your intent, whether you're doing some magic or a ritual, what is your intent? And if you don't know right from wrong, in virtue, ethics, integrity, moral code, not morality, who does what with who. But if you don't have that, don't play in that world. If you really don't know what's right and what's wrong, don't go there. You will get in trouble. But if you do know the difference of right and wrong, again, religion doesn't have to be involved in anything, then it's a big, beautiful world.
Right. Can I ask you, are you talking also out of experience? Because as kids, as teenagers, most of young people have this period of experimentation, and just they do dumb stuff, and it turns out into something bad, like, shooting birds, throwing rocks at tiny pets or whatever. And then all of a sudden stuff happens.
Yeah, not so much. I think because I've seen that world and I've just talked to them for so long. Right. I've just such a soft heart. I couldn't throw a rock at a bird, or
no, you don't come off as that person. I mean, yeah, I can literally feel you as such a positive person, and just this huge smile. So cover.
Yeah, but because I work with people every day, people do, and I see the trouble people have gotten into. And again, I study science, and I study metaphysics and occult sciences. Again, all the same. There is cause and effect. There is action and reaction. There is consequence to whatever, and you look at what that is.
Absolutely. Do you find sometimes it's kind of cooler and more interesting to hang out with spirits and the world that you don't see than with actual humans?
I want us all mixed up together, because spirits themselves, that's fun, but then I have to be by myself with ghosts, and yeah. I'd rather have and again, I like just waking up humans. It's really fun to be with my experts, whether it's, again, there's my different worlds. There's the spiritual world, the metaphysical, the spiritual, whole life expo, or my witchy world, the pagan world, the magical, more deep world. And then there's the paranormal investigators. They don't necessarily want anything to do with religion or spirituality, if you don't like, but they still want the mystery of it. So we're going to be ghost hunters. A lot of them will discover spirituality after that, but that's a way to know that something out there exists. There's mystery outside this black and white, but without having to get any kind of spirituality or religion in the way. Then you just become a paranormal investigator. Not that they don't cross over all the time, but I like being with. Yeah. I like being with people and spirits. I like introducing people to spirits. I like seeing light bulbs. I do a lot of TV shows with young people. I work with Awesomeness TV a lot, and teens in college. And I speak at colleges. I do mediumship. Seeing that a little light bulb go on. Not that I don't want anybody to believe like me. I don't preach anything, but just like magic is everywhere. You guys take control, and see people just.
All of a
go,
sudden,
wow, life is so much more than this. Yeah.
And the fire in the eyes, in the first row. Yeah.
And if you're doing it because you're doing a nice lecture on spirituality, great. Or if you're doing it on, Nicole Richie's show, or if you're doing it on Bad Girls Club, teaching them how to, you don't have to do it in this setting. You can do it in a messy setting, a goofy setting, a funny setting.
Everything goes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
That is beyond cool. Water. I talk a lot, and I have fantastic guests that join me in talking a lot, and on merits to that too. So how cool is that?
Yeah.
Patty, what else can we gloss over? You teach, you do seances, you do readings, groups, TV shows, live shows. You also write books and kind of self-help books.
I do. My book that
you're an author.
I'm an author, and I'm working on my next one. But my book that I highly recommend, it's called Old World Magic for the Modern World: Tips, Tricks, and Techniques to Empower and Create a Life You Love. It's a bestseller in 5 countries because it's super simple. After I wrote it, I went, boring words. I unwrote it. Unwriting it took longer to make it simple. You don't have to be a witch. You don't have to be a psychic or a medium to do things like, I can't think straight. Here's a 30-second exercise. I want to talk to people when I'm asleep. There's that dream school. I want to follow moon cycles. We are almost 60. What if, every full moon you were out there in gratitude? What if the 2 weeks the moon's waxing, you're adding into your life? The 2 weeks the moon's waning, you're letting go of what's not serving you. The good stuff in your life gets better, faster and faster. It's bringing people back to this earthy nature. So this book is really great. Again, I'm not tooting my own horn. It's all channeled by spirit anyway.
No, I'm
Ebook,
fascinated
audiobook.
by everything that you do, and I bet it's all awesome. So we're going to direct everybody, guys, pick up the book. We're going to throw the links later on. Absolutely. I haven't read it yet. Hands down, totally, but I will. I will get my hands on that.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I if you were here, I'd be handing you one. I could probably figure out how to send you an e-copy or how to send you another copy. It's just easier. It's crazy to send it to Europe versus just ordering it from Europe. I can send you an e-copy. I'm still figuring out mail, but my podcast is called The Witching Hour, and I have the best in the world in spirituality, occult sciences, metaphysics, astrologers, hypnotists, matchmakers. Again, all about empowering people, and I'm really excited because I have a new home for it. It's called
the Paranormal Network. Exactly.
Yes,
fantastic.
And it's
congratulations on that, by the way.
It's huge. It's the people who produce Ghost Adventures. So it's going to be it's people from my paranormal world. It's my witching hour. We're just launching, you guys. It is Friday the 13th. We are launching 13 weeks to Halloween because we love Halloween. So you guys like and follow my paranormal network on Instagram, Twitter, and if you are brave enough, and you better do it because you're a dancer, do happy Halloween dance. Happy Halloween. Hashtag happy Halloween dance.
All right.
Tag my paranormal network. Do a 30-second dance. And we have prizes. We're going to giveaways. Me and Bridget Marcourt and Dean Haglund, all the people on the network. The grand prize is wherever you are. It's a trip to Las Vegas for 2 and a paranormal investigation. All you got to do is dance.
I'm going to record it tomorrow because tomorrow I'm doing a show actually with a thrash band. All right.
Yes, I do it. Just Halloween happy dance. Hashtag Halloween happy dance. Tag my paranormal network. I want to see. I just recorded one. It's ridiculous because I went for ridiculous silly because that's what I do. I'm like, I'm flailing in my backyard, and then we screwed it up to make it look even more ridiculous. Yeah,
I need to check that out. Oh my God, awesome, Patti.
Thanks.
Let's maybe think about part 2. I would absolutely love to make a small little segue into that when time allows, somewhere down the line during the year. It would be a pleasure and an honor.
I would love to. Thank you so much for having me on. You are great. Absolutely. You are bringing art. You're bringing femininity. I love that you're a dancer and a musician, and you are way more psychic than you realize, but you do realize, so that's okay.
Let me talk to you backstage, guys. Guys, thank you so much. Patti Negri has been my fabulous guest co-host and so inspiring. Check everything out that Patti does. I'm going to throw all of those links, and happy Friday 13th. Have a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are on the planet. Stay rock and keep doing what you do. Until later.
Thank you.